Hi everyone, I'm Marius and I'm delighted to present iWander today, a personal travel companion that empowers travel brands to deeply connect with their customers in destination. So we're solving for two major problems for travel operators: increasing acquisition costs and lower brand loyalty. Because we know that there's been many winners from the digitalization of travel. The standout beneficiaries are obviously Google, OTAs, travel aggregators, but let's face it, the biggest winner of them all has been the customer, who now has instant access to a huge amount of products and experiences. But across the industry, there's a growing dissatisfaction from experienced operators who are finding it more difficult to create meaningful relationships with their customers. And they're also struggling to compete with Google and aggregators for direct bookings. They're seeing their acquisition costs increase and customer loyalty decrease, as customers are more likely to go back through that Google loop rather than rebook direct. So this is really where we come in. We provide an engagement tool so that the experience provider can continue connecting with customers and delivering value throughout their entire customer journey. The example I always like to use is an airline app. So think about it. This is generally only used for a few minutes each trip to check in, to scan your boarding pass, and then you don't open up again during the trip. So what our solution does is it provides value in destination so that travel brands can continue to engage with their customers and make their apps and brands more sticky. Our solution is iWander, a personal travel companion powered by AI that delivers value at every point of your trip. Think of it almost as your personal tour guide in your pocket, which tells you engaging stories about the places you're visiting, gives you recommendations tailored to your interests. So I'll give you a quick product demo. So you basically start by choosing your guide according to your interest. It could be a history guide, it could be an architecture guide. In this case, I've taken Frankie, who's like our fun gamified one. You go straight in and it's a map-based interface. So it's 3D maps, we've got navigation built in, and we've got this feature, which is like explore near you. So you can discover cool points of interest or stories around you. So then you can either, search one of these points of interest, or you can just start engaging with your personal tour guide as you would, your physical tour guide. So here I'm going to ask, what are some cool things to see at the British Museum? And immediately what you'll have is an output, which is, according to your interest, according to your guide. So it will basically generate an audio track, which will
Welcome to the British Museum. Get ready to embark on a journey through time and space without ever leaving London. This place is a treasure trove of fascinating exhibits and quirky artifacts. So let's dive right in. First up, you absolutely have to check out the Rosetta Stone. No, it's not the language learning software. Genuine stone tablet that helps scholars crack the code.
So here you can see it's kind of like slightly more fun, slightly more gamified. You have points of interest which come up on the map as it's being told. And here we have another cool feature, which is visual search. So think about how many times you're wandering through a new destination, you see a cool statue or a piece of art in a gallery. You can just snap it and you'll immediately have explanation about what you're looking at. And then final point, do you see this little yellow button which says buy ticket? So this is where we can upsell contextual products. So here I asked about the British Museum, so I promote a British Museum product. So we have all sorts of other cool features, multi-language, which we can gloss over. But right now, I just want to come back to this perfect upsell. So ultimately, what we do is that we're geared towards offering that perfect product at the perfect place at the perfect time. And whether that's an entrance ticket, as we saw, a restaurant, or an event. So our business model is B2B2C. We've got a number of different solutions so that brands can offer iWander to their customers within their own environments. Our most popular solution is probably our SDK, which actually allows us to plug our technology directly into third-party apps. We can also offer our technology as a white label app, or we also have an API solution, which is launching later this year. And we understand the need for data security, and that's why iWander is enterprise ready. Our AI models are fully customizable and can be hosted in partner environments. So our launch partner is City Sightseeing, the world's leading provider of hop-on, hop-off tours, where we'll be providing their 13 million customers access to our travel companion technology. We also have customers from other verticals which are launching later this year. We have three main ways of generating revenues. One, we charge a SaaS model to deploy iWander. We charge brands for the usage of iWander tokens, and then we share the upsell revenue from products with our customers. And finally, our team. So we're a team that knows travel really well. I previously founded a startup, a platform for self-guided audio tours. Thomas has over 25 years experience in the travel industry, and my brother Antoine is our CTO, and we've been building travel products together for the past few years. Dan Christian is also involved, and we're currently in beta, and we're raising our seed round in September.
Thanks so much, Marius. Great presentation. Judges, come on up. Well, we're welcoming Gilad, Topaz, and Michael back. First question. Gilad, would you like to pose the first question?
Happy to. When you guys are working with larger brands, what kind of concerns have you heard about, brand identity, brand focus, the type of content they might want to have in there? What concerns have you heard?
Yeah, I mean, so many, and it really ranges based off like what type of partner it is. And we really, because we're actually building this, we actually had our partners before we built the solution. So we've been able to build the solution accordingly. So the first thing is enterprise ready. The ability to deploy those AI models within partner environments. That's the first thing. The second thing is about the tone of voice and to be able to customize the model so that the output, we can edit the output. So that could be like tone of voice. So for instance, we have one partner who, has like super like animal welfare restrictions. So they don't want anything mentioned about zoos or like recommendations for zoos. So we can actually hard code that in. And the last thing is like tone of voice. So I think you saw the different guides which we had. We can actually create custom guides with custom voices, custom identities for different partners.
And real quickly, how much effort is it for you guys to do all these customizations?
We've built it so that it's basically plug and play. So we've got what you haven't seen is the whole back-end infrastructure and dashboard, which is very much like enterprise ready. So like, data dashboards, modifiable SDK, so you can actually change the color of your app, you can change the features, and all that we actually give to our partners. And then everything is modular, so we can actually just change that pretty easily and deploy a different model for every customer.
Okay, Topaz, do you have a question for Marius?
Yeah, I want to understand a bit more about how do you customize the information specific to other things that are, so people are using AI to gather information for other companies. How are you making sure that your information is differentiated using AI and selling this to people? And yeah, let's start there.
Yeah, sure. So I think our starting point was, how maybe I'll take you back in terms of like the story about proprietary content versus using LLMs. We actually started off thinking, okay, we need to get loads of proprietary content and feed it in. What we've realized actually that this isn't necessarily the way forward. We think that in a space as broad as travel, where you need to be relevant on history, on culture, on popular culture, on local events, global events, like no one company will be able to own all that content to be able to basically build a travel specific LLM. So what we do is that we take the leading LLMs, the ones with over like a billion parameters, and then we augment them by adding contextual data sources to make it more relevant, more accurate, and more contextual for that travel use case. So, this is basically like point of interest APIs or product APIs or content APIs. And what we do is that we basically point the models in that direction. So based off, so we point the models basically in that direction, which makes it more accurate and basically solves for hallucinations if places are open, if places are closed. And the final thing on top of that is almost an editorial layer. So the same way which you can choose your guides, basically those guides have different personas and they'll go fetch content from different sources.
Okay, that's great. Thanks so much, Marius. We'll move on to our next presenter. We appreciate your presentation. Next up is Woody Sears, a Seedup from the United States with a company called Autio. Woody, if you could bring your presentation up, we will start the timer for 5 minutes and give you 3 minutes of Q&A to follow up with our judges. Thanks very much, Woody.
So when the first iPhone came out, my 3-year-old son was like a moth to the flame. And I thought if my young child was going to be looking at this screen, I wanted the content to be something I felt good about as a parent. So we made the first library of narrated storybooks. We produced over 200 apps and 14 million downloads at iStorytime. And in 2014, we got acquired. As I took a bit of time off after the acquisition, I knew I'd find my way back in the founder's seat. It was really a matter of when the time was right. And something that didn't change during that time was my love of stories. And I started to see a new opportunity to bring them to the world. I grew up taking family road trips as a kid and take tons of those with my own family. And we love listening to books, podcasts, music. But when it came time to learning about these places that we were visiting, we ended up on our phones, either Googling or Wikipedia, and it ruined our experience. My name's Woody Sears, and I'm excited to tell you about my latest storytelling venture. This new company started off with a celebrity meeting, a meeting with none other than Kevin Costner, actor, director, and storyteller extraordinaire. When we sat down, I asked him to imagine driving the roads of America and hearing the stories of the cities and the towns as you pass through. Hearing stories of victory and defeat, both shame and inspiration. The real history of all of these unique places. Imagine having all these stories play at the perfect time based on your GPS location and accessible to anyone with a smartphone, almost like a tour guide for everything you're seeing outside as you travel. Kevin paused only for a moment and stood up and shared his own experience of telling stories in movies and all the other stories that haven't hit the silver screen yet very much worth hearing. Inside our app, we tell stories about history, culture, natural wonders, and more that entertain and engage people as they travel. We have over 22,000 pieces of content about places across the US and Europe, told by professional narrators and world-class storytellers, like Kevin Costner, who is now one of our co-founders. And we have other amazing voices in the app. Phil Jackson sharing stories about stadiums he's coached in, as well as highways and destinations across Big Sky Country in Montana. Georgiana Sanchez, Shumash Elder, telling the story of her people coming from the Channel Islands to the Central Coast. John Lithgow, sharing places significant to his life and his career. Our business model is to create these unique story experiences, distribute them through our mobile app, and bring awareness through partners, social media, and convert those into annual subscription. We have key patents for location-based storytelling using GPS. And not only is there strong demand for these great audio products, but people are willing to pay for access. And we're converting over 6% of installs into paid memberships, resulting in 40,000 paying subscribers and over 2 million in revenue. There's a massive market here with a $260 billion TAM for tours, experiences, and activities. And now we have a huge opportunity as we train Gen AI to expand our content library internationally and in more depth. I think every traveler knows how difficult it is to find the local tour guide, and especially one that's with you every step of your journey in a new place. And we formed these content partnerships with History Channel, Netflix to augment our content offering. We've been featured as App of the Day and Editor's Choice by Apple, and we won the Webby Award for Best Travel App. Our team is perfectly designed to execute on this vision of global platform for local stories with my co-founder, Kevin Costner, and our CPO, Kevin Norris, who's built streaming platforms for MLB, Fox, NBC, WWE, and Bryce Shawcross, our creative director, who's built brands into 3 multi-billion-dollar companies, including Tesla and Faraday Future. Our current investors include AAA, Camping World, Snap, Cooley, iHeartMedia, and several strategic angels. As you're all aware, every place has a story, and now every story has a place. And that place is Autio, and there are billions of people waiting to hear them.
Thank you, Woody. I'll welcome back the judges. Great presentation. Michael, would you like to kick us off?
Sure. Really interesting product. I'm excited to actually use it myself. Location-wise, are you US focused today, or do you have an international presence?
Yeah, we've got our stories span US and Europe. We're in 13 major destinations in Europe, Ireland, and then US is really our flagship where we started our content journey.
And quick follow-up, how are you determining locations? Is it based on the creative talent you get, or is it based on demand?
Based on travel centers, where the most traffic is, where we see the most outbound US to international today. But those will continue growing those. But there have been some opportunistic where we have talent in those locations.
Great, thank you.
Topaz, would you like to go next?
Yes. What does your go-to-market strategy look like to get more people using the app?
Yeah, so it's been a combination of using social media as well as partners. We've been lucky to work with some really large travel brands and entertainment brands. We're currently in the seatbacks of JetBlue flights, and we have the highest completion rate of any content there. That's been a great source of new activations for us. And then our partner Camping World getting us in front of the RV community here in the US. But yeah, to really partner with those brands and find places where meet travelers where they're at, essentially.
Okay, Gila.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for the presentation. How do your partners like JetBlue and others measure ROI? How do they know if it's worth it for them to do this thing?
Right now we're seeing very high engagement, over 70,000 listens on a monthly basis. We have a select group of stories from our library that match their destinations across the US, so they know people are engaging with places that they fly and travel to. So seeing that high completion rate, the high engagement is something that we know that they're clicking on that because there's a QR code. But really just more the long-term developing an interest in these places that they fly is how they're measuring that success.
Okay, great. Thanks so much, Woody. Thank you, judges. This wraps actually the full Global Startup Pitch series of presentations with our two wildcards, one as a personal travel companion for travelers in destination, and Autio, which is stories that really engage the traveler along the way on their journey.